Advanced audit and assurance. Finally, we have moved towards our last topic in last lecture. Forensic assignment. Need to cover set types, application, purposes or objective, steps. Need to cover ethical issues. There are three types of forensic assignment: forensic accounting, forensic auditing, and forensic investigation. The word forensic means having legal consequences or in legal consequences. Whenever we are performing any work, in a legal consequences mean on the order of any regulatory authority, on the order of a court. So that work will be called forensic assignment. And from audit point of view, audit firm point of view, there are three types of assignments that are required from auditors: forensic accounting, forensic auditing, and forensic investigation. Forensic investigation is widely used. I mean, the more assignment that audit firm provide, that is forensic investigation. What is forensic accounting? Application of accounting knowledge having legal consequences is called forensic accounting. What is accounting? Preparing accounts and preparing financial statements. If we are preparing financial statements according to the order of any regulatory body, according to the order of a court, so that will be called forensic accounting. In application of accounting knowledge, having legal consequences mean any kind of accounting work. If we are performing in legal consequences, mean according to the order of court, any legal regulatory body, so that will be called forensic accounting. The same accounting that we prepare normally, that we need to prepare. But if we are preparing on the order of any court and regulatory body, that will be called forensic accounting. Like to deal with any court case, court have placed an order, being accountant, can you please prepare these financial statements according to this data? Because based on the financial statements result, court need to decide their court decision. They need to decide against any of the litigation, any of the case. So that will be called forensic accounting. What is forensic auditing? Application of auditing knowledge having legal consequences is called forensic auditing. And if we need to conduct audit of any company financial statements based on the order of court or any legal regulatory body, so that audit will be called what? Forensic auditing. Same audit procedure we need to perform. But there is a wider application of forensic investigation. What is forensic investigation? Any investigation having legal consequences, especially fraud investigation. So that is called what? Forensic investigation. If in a company, some employees committed a fraud, they were involved in fraud, and now we are going to investigate that fraud. So that will be called what? Forensic investigation, because might be court need to decide who were involved in the fraud, how much money were involved in the fraud, might be they need to recover that money from the fraudsters. So this investigation will be called what? Forensic investigation. Where forensic assignments are applicable are used. Forensic assignments are used in litigation cases, Litigation means there is a court case going on, and to decide who is a guilty party, who is innocent party, there is a need for any accounting work, any auditing work, or any investigation. And court has ordered us being an expert, you need to perform this. So that will be what forensic assignment in litigation cases. Its application is in any of the investigation, like a carousel investigation, carousel fraud. Carousel fraud are tax related fraud. And nowadays, especially those companies who are involved in import export, they always commit a tax related fraud. Like they are sourcing their goods from any of the tax free country, and they are trying to claim a VAT in the tax country where they are normally operating. I mean, they are claiming we paid VAT. In fact, they haven't paid VAT because they source their goods from tax free zone. Like UAE, 3 years back, this was tax free zone. There was no tax application in UAE. So most of the other countries were buying goods from UAE, and they're trying to claim a VAT in their own country, mean output VAT. While paying, they were claiming input VAT like we paid against these purchases. In fact, they purchased their material from tax-free zone. So these kind of a fraud, auditor could be asked to investigate whether company have paid this tax or not that they are going to claim. Or its application is in IT fraud. In being auditor, if there is any fraud happened in company IT system, so being auditor, we could be asked to identify that IT related fraud. How we can identify? By applying a different software application on client system, we can identify whether in the system fraud happened or not, whether any unauthorized person accessed the system, when he accessed the system, what changes he made to the system. So through this record of the system software, we can identify whether any fraud happened or not. Or its application is in dispute resolution, or you can say mediation cases. Dispute resolution. Dispute resolution, we could be asked to act as a mediator. Mediation means sometime auditor could be asked to work as a mediator. Mediator mean in a partnership cases, when there is any problem between the partners, there are any conflicts with the partner. So we could be asked to identify who is the innocent party in the partners, who is the injured party in the partners. So if we have been asked to investigate the injured party and innocent party in a partnership cases, partnership conflicts, so that will be what forensic investigation. So there are three types of forensic assignment that normally audit firm provide: accounting, auditing, investigation. And where forensic assignments are applicable in litigation cases, our report will help the court to decide the case. In investigation, like a carousel fraud, like a tax related fraud, IT related fraud, or in dispute resolution, like in partnership, we could be asked to work as a mediator. Mediator means finding who is the innocent party and who is injured party. When we are going to perform forensic work, the mostly forensic investigation we perform rather than accounting, rather than auditing. If we are going to perform any forensic investigation, especially fraud investigation, what could be the purpose? First, we need to identify the happening of a fraud, whether fraud happened or not. If fraud happened, we need to identify the perpetrator. 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 I hope this is the correct word. Perpetrator. Let me check with the dictionary. Perpetrator. Yeah, perpetrator. Yeah. Perpetrators mean fraudsters. And we need to identify who were the fraudsters involved in the fraud against which company need to take any action. As well as we could be asked to quantify the fraud, mean how much money company lost in the fraud that company might want to recover from the perpetrators or from insurance company. So there are three objective or three purpose of forensic investigation. We need to identify whether fraud happened or not. We need to identify the perpetrator, mean fraudsters, and we need to ask, could be asked to quantify, mean amount of fraud we need to calculate. When we are going to perform forensic investigation, what steps we will follow? In how we will perform forensic investigation, what are the steps we, being a auditor, should follow? So first, we will identify whether fraud happened or not. Then we should identify who were involved in fraud, either accounting department, finance department, production department, I mean which department, and how many people are involved in the fraud. And then we need to calculate the amount of the fraud. And regarding all these things, we need to obtain evidence. And based on evidence, we will be expressing our written report where we will express whether fraud happened or not, if happened, who were involved in the fraud, and what is the amount of the fraud. This report we could be asked to give. I mean, there is no appropriate format of forensic assignment report, especially for forensic investigation. If we are performing forensic auditing, there is audit report format. But if we are performing forensic investigation, there is no appropriate format. So normally in our report, what we state the happening, the perpetrators, and quantification. And next step could be court appearance. Might be we need to appear in our court as a witness to help the court to decide who is innocent, who is guilty party. But this step, we need to ask from the client whether we need to be appear in the court or not. Otherwise, till written report, our work is completed. So when we are going to perform forensic assignment, we should consider some ethical issues. What are the ethical issues we need to consider? We should follow codes of ethics. What are codes of ethics? Integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. When we are going to perform forensic assignment, we should focus on integrity. We must be straightforward. We must be honest. We should not associate ourselves in wrong reporting, passing of wrong information. In fact, we should maintain high integrity. Because if we are going towards wrong reporting, passing wrong information, we could be facing serious legal consequences that could destroy our whole life. We will be in big trouble because we are performing work in legal consequences. So if we express wrong opinion, knowingly we sign the wrong reports, knowingly we pass the wrong informations, so we'll be facing serious legal consequences. That's why we need to maintain high integrity. We should focus on objective of the work. Our work should not be influenced by any personal advantage or benefit of any other party. Threats on independence, not only we should reduce, we should avoid threats on independence, because in reduction, independence, objectivity could be compromised. So that's why the threats on independence we should avoid while performing forensic assignment work. We must make sure whether we are competent enough to perform this work or not, because due to lack of experience, lack of knowledge, we could move towards negligent work. Negligent work will result into wrong reporting. Wrong reporting will result into wrong decision by the court. So we'll be facing serious legal consequences. Mean we should show high due care, and we must assess our competence, knowledge, experience, whether we have performed this kind of activities in past or not. If we haven't passed, we should recruit skilled staff first, then start working on this assignment. And normally, if we see the Big Four, they have maintained their separate forensic department. In that department, they have assigned their highly experienced staff who are specialized in performing these kind of a forensic assignment. Confidentiality we need to maintain, and this is very important, especially in a fraud investigation in a company. Fraud happened, and we have been asked to investigate the fraud. We need to keep this matter very confidential. If this matter highlighted the general public, it could destroy the whole company. Because shareholder will lose their confidence. They will withdraw their investment immediately. And if they withdraw their investment, company will collapse. So we need to maintain confidentiality at a high standard. The matter should be kept secret. And we need to show professional behavior. Though we are working in legal consequences according to the court order, this doesn't mean we are the policeman. We should behave politely with the client. Though we are investigating, having legal powers because court has ordered us, but this doesn't mean we are the policeman. We should maintain the politeness. Our behavior should be professional. We should not do anything that will provide a discredit to the profession. We deal with the client in manners. Be fair. Whenever examiner asks question on forensic, most part of the question is straightforward. Either he can ask for 3 to 6 marks types of forensic. He could ask for application of forensic. He could ask for the objective purpose of forensic. No, write down the steps. No, explain the ethical implication of forensic assignment. What is the difficult part in this forensic assignment? In steps, we need to obtain evidence. How we can obtain evidence? By applying procedures. So according to the situation, we could be asked to apply, write down procedures. Forensic is not a non-audit engagement. I didn't include this in non-audit engagement. Is that? That's why in forensic, we need to apply audit procedures, not review procedures. Even more detailed than audit. So that's why in forensic, we will always discuss audit procedures rather than 3 limited procedures. That's what was a good question on forensic. We covered already this retriever question. Part A of this question we covered regarding ethical, other professional quality control issues. And there's part B of the question. Before moving towards part B, just to read the first paragraph of the scenario, I mean, what are the company doing? So Cannell and Company, a firm of chartered certified accountant, is the external audit provider for the Retriever Group. The group, a manufacturer of mobile phone and laptop computers. The company manufacture and sell what? Mobile phone and laptop computers. Mean company inventory will be laptops and mobile. The group obtained a stock exchange listing in July 2022. The draft, the audit of the consolidated financial statements for the year ending 28 February 2023 is nearing completion. And part A, we discussed ethical, commercial, quality control, other issues. Part B of the question. The audit committee of the group has contacted Cannell and Company to discuss an incident that took place on 1st June 2023. One incident happened in the company on 1st June, and audit committee want to discuss with the auditors. On that date, there was a burglary at the group's warehouse where inventory is stored prior to dispatch to customer. CCTV filmed the thieves loading a lorry belonging to the group with the boxes containing finished goods. The thief loaded inventory boxes on company lorry and they ran away. The last inventory count took place on 30th April 20x3. And this incident happened on 1st June 20x3. 1 month after the inventory count. The group has insurance cover in place and Cannon and Company Forensic Accounting Department. Very important, Forensic Accounting Department, not auditing, not investigation. Forensic Accounting Department has been asked to provide a forensic accounting service to determine the amount to be claimed in respect of the burglary. So we need to calculate the amount of the loss that they want to claim from the insurance company. The insurance covers the cost of asset lost as a result of theft. It is thought that the amount of the claim will be immaterial to group financial statement. And there is no ethical threat in Canada's Company Forensic Accounting Department providing the forensic accounting service. In forensic assignment, when we are going to perform any of the forensic assignment, there are some planning procedures that we need to consider as well. Before starting the work, there are some planning procedures we need to focus on. We should focus on user of the report. Who is user of report? Either court, any regulatory body, or company management. What is the purpose of this forensic assignment? We should make sure whether through this court case decision will be finalized, whether company want to claim damages from the insurance company, whether company want to take action against the fraudsters, want to recover money from them. And then we should discuss the level of assurance required. In forensic accounting, we do not provide assurance. In forensic auditing, we provide assurance. And what assurance? Always high level, even higher than audit. So level of assurance we need to discuss. If there is a limited assurance required, we can perform 3 limited procedures. But if a high level assurance is required, we should move towards extensive audit procedures. And we should make sure adequacy of resources, whether we are having adequate resources or not. And we should prepare our cost and time budget properly. Because in forensic, we need to perform more detailed work. The more detailed work we need to perform, ultimately it takes more time. The more time we are spending, ultimately we need to pay to our staff, there will be more cost of the assignment. So we need to make sure the work we are going to perform to identify, to verify things, we are having enough time and the fee is above our cost, because due to fee cost pressure, our work could be compromised. So moving back towards the retriever. So burglary happened. How we can identify whether burglary happened or not? Through CCTV film. And company want to calculate the amount of the loss so that they can recover from insurance company, and loss not only relating to inventory, they took a company lorry as well. Required in respect of the theft and the associated insurance claim. Identify and explain the matters to be considered and the steps to be taken in planning the forensic accounting services. Matters to be considered and steps to be taken. Matters to be considered mean planning matters. We should make sure who are the users of the report. That is, might be insurance company. Might be they have asked to calculate the amount of fraud through any of the audit firm, independent, so that they can make approve company claim. And we need to make sure the purpose is what is forensic accounting assignment, so that company can recover the amount of loss through insurance company. Level of assurance, though we do not provide assurance in accounting, but still we need to discuss with management. If they are expecting any assurance, then this is auditing assignment rather than accounting. And then we should make sure whether we are having a competent enough staff, time available, and we need to prepare our cost and time budgets. What are the steps? First, we need to identify whether this theft happened or not, so that we can identify easily through CCTV films recording. We need to identify the perpetrators, fraudsters that might not be requirement under here, because if they are external persons, nobody can recognize them. We need to identify quantification. Yeah, that's the main requirement. Like we need to identify the amount of loss that company want to recover from the insurance company. Then we need to obtain evidence regarding the quantification. And to obtain evidence, we need to perform some procedures. And that procedure is a separate requirement as well. What procedures will we perform? How we can verify the amount of loss? Procedures. Watch CCTV films to identify number of boxes loaded on the lorry. We'll watch CCTV films to identify number of boxes loaded on the lorry and number plate of the lorry. Then we will inspect, now visit company warehouse and inspect how many items each box containing. Could be mobile phone in one box. There could be more than one, like 10, 20, 50 mobile phone. And then inspection of inventory records to verify cost of each inventory unit. Recalculate the amount of inventory loss by multiplying cost of each inventory unit with number of units stood. So this will be able to identify loss of inventory. Now relating to lorry, inspection of asset register to identify lorry, because in asset register, if companies having more than one motor vehicles, they state motor vehicles with their number plate. So that's why through CCTV films, we identify the number plate of the lorry. So inspection of asset register to identify the carrying value of the lorry lost. Then we can calculate the amount of the loss by adding the lorry carrying value as well as inventory lost value. In 4-5 procedure we need to write down. And out of 12, remaining marks are relating to planning procedures plus steps. And with me. The difficult part is what? Procedures. According to the scenario we need to apply. How we can verify this. So let's move towards one more question on forensic. Crocus. So we are having this question Crocus, and there are three different requirements of the question. Part A for 4 marks, part B 1 and 2 for 11 marks, and part C for 5 marks. Part A of the question. Identify and explain the matters that should be considered before accepting the engagement to perform a forensic investigation at Crocus Company. Planning procedures. Right, we need to relate with the scenario. For that, we must be having knowledge about the scenario as well. And part C, if you see, straightforward. Assess how the fundamental ethical principles of IASB, International Codes of Ethics and Professional Conduct should be applied to the provision of forensic investigation services. 5 codes of ethics, format straightforward. Part A straightforward, part C straightforward, 9 out of 25. If you look at part B, describe the objective of forensic investigation, happening, perpetrators, and quantification, straightforward. And part B to explain the steps involved in forensic investigation into the payroll fraud, including example of procedures that could be used to gather evidence. And there are 5 marks relating to procedures. All other marks are straightforward. So let's move towards scenario so that we can write down procedures. You are a manager in the forensic investigation department of your audit firm. Investigation, not accounting, not auditing. The directors of a local manufacturing company, Crocus Company, have contacted your department regarding a suspected fraud, which has recently been discovered operating in the company, and you have been asked to look into the matter further. You have held preliminary discussion with Gita Charles, the finance director of Crocus Company. The notes of this conversation are shown below. Okay. Notes of discussion with Gita. 4 months ago, Crocus Company shut down one of its 5 factories in response to deteriorating market conditions, with all staff employed at the factory made redundant on the date of closure. While monitoring the monthly management accounts, Gita performed analytical procedures on salary expense. She found that the monthly total payroll expense had reduced by 3% in the month following the factory closure. Not as much as expected, given that 20% of the total staff of the company have been made redundant. They redundant 20% staff, but salary expense is just reduced by 3%. There could be chances they have redundant the low paid employees, high paid employees are still there. It's not necessary like the number of percentage of people you have redundant, the salary expenses should be reduced by that percentage. No, it's not necessary. Could be you have made redundant low paid staff. The high paid staff are still there. So this difference could be there. But there could be chances the staff that you have made redundant, still they are on payroll. In their payroll, their salary is still going to be recorded and paid into any of the bank account. I mean, if staff do not exist, but their wages salaries are recorded, these are called ghost employees that do not exist. Ghost that we cannot see, but it's there. So 20% of the total staff of the company have been made redundant. Initial investigation performed last week by Gita revealed that many of the employees who had been made redundant had actually remained on the payroll record. And they were not removed from the record. Still, their salaries are being paid. Fair? Let's see. And the salaries payments in respect of these individuals were still being made every month, with all payments going into the same bank account. So the person whose account these salaries have been transferred, he is mainly fraudster. But might be he is receiving only, after receiving he is sharing with other people as well. Is that? Because in payroll department, there are segregation of duties as well. There are 3 different departments work in wages and salaries. One is called personnel department, who maintain employee records. Other is wages department, who prepare wages salaries. And third is accounts department, who pay wages salaries. This means if employees are still there, they are involved. While preparing wages salaries, they need to see whether these employees have worked or not by checking their clock cards, their hours from the system. If still they are preparing wages, this means they are also involved. And they need to check where payments are going to be made. If all payments are going into the same bank account, this means they are also involved. If there is segregation of duty between these 3 responsibility, this means there is a collusion of different people. But if there is no segregation of duty, then it is easier. Then only that person who is preparing wages, he is involved. Let's see. As soon as she realized that there may be a fraud being conducted within the company, Geeta stopped any further payments in respect of the redundant employees. She contacted our firm as she is unsure how to proceed and would like our firm's specialist department to conduct an investigation. Geeta says that the senior accountant Miles Rutland has been absent from work since she conducted her initial investigation last week. And it has been impossible to contact him. I mean, he disappeared somewhere. This means he could be involved in this fraud, or could be not he only, there could be other staff member who could have kidnapped him, so that all blame should be moving towards him, nobody else. Geeta believed that he may have been involved with the suspected fraud. Geeta has asked whether your department could be able to provide a forensic investigation, but is unsure what this would involve. Crocus Company is not an audit client of your firm. Party, identify and explain the matters that should be considered before accepting the management engagement to perform forensic investigation at Crocus Company. So first we should see who are the user of the report. And here, if we see, the user of the report is company management. But still we need to discuss whether they want to present this report into court or any investigation legal authority. Second, we should discuss about purpose. What kind of assignment is that? So this is a fraud investigation assignment. Might be they want to take action against those fraudsters, and they want to recover the money of a fraud. Level of assurance required. Normally, we do not provide assurance in accounting and investigation. We provide assurance in auditing, but still we need to discuss with the client. And we need to check adequacy of resources, whether we are having competent, experienced staff or not. And we should prepare cost and time budget. 4 marks. Part B1, describe the objective of the forensic investigation. So happening of fraud, we need to identify first. And this we can identify through payroll records. If ghost employees, redundant employees still remain on payroll, This means fraud happened. Perpetrators we need to identify. That we can identify through 3 different departments: personnel department, wages department, and accounts department. If there is segregation of duty, if there is no segregation of duty, then we need to see who are the people involved in preparing and paying wages. Quantification we need to identify, and quantification we can identify for how many months the payments have been made. How many months? How many months? 4 months ago. This means last 4 months payments have been made, so that we can identify 4 months payroll records, how many wages have been paid, salaries have been paid for the redundant employees. And then to take evidence, we need to perform the following procedures. What will be the procedures? How we can verify? We should obtain redundant employee list. Obtain redundant employee list and compare with the last 4-month payroll records to identify number of employees still remain on payroll records who were made redundant. In how many employees are in record? Is that what else? We can recalculate the amount of payment made in last 4 months for the ghost employees by inspection of payroll records. Is that? And then those bank account where payments are going to be made, we should identify who is holding that account. So we need to identify the account number from payroll record to whom payments are going to be made, and obtain independent confirmation from the bank regarding the owner of the account holder, because he could be involved in fraud. In fact, he is involved in fraud. Identify whether there is any segregation of duty control work in the organization. If it works, who are the people working in these 3 departments? If there is no segregation of control, take information about the person who is authorized for preparing and paying salaries, whether he is Mild Rutland only or any other person also involved. What else? Perform interview from the wages salaries department, accounts department employees to corroborate any evidence by through information obtained. Mean will match that information that we have performed with the evidence other we have obtained. So 3-4 procedure we can write down. And part C, straightforward what we need to do. Codes of ethics we need to explain. In the main issue in forensic question is writing down procedures, how to verify this. That's it. In non-audit engagements, we discussed there are 4 types of non-audit engagements. 2 are non-assurance engagement. What were non-assurance engagement? Compilation engagement and agreed upon procedure. And there are 2 assurance engagement, review engagement and other assurance engagement like due diligence report on PFI. Let's discuss how we can perform review engagement. Review could be performed on complete financial statements, Our review engagement could be relating to review of interim financial statements, either of complete financial statements or interim financial statements. We should always perform 3 limited procedures. And there are some standards on review engagement. ISRE 2400. It's relating to review of financial statement. Those companies from whom audit is not compulsory, they perform review of their financial statements rather than audit. Because if auditor is performing lesser procedures, he will charge less fee. Why management is asking for review assignment? Because they will be able to convince themselves whether they are preparing correct financial statements or not. So if we are going to perform review of financial statements, there is a standard, international standard on review engagement 2400. But if we are going to review interim accounts, interim mean half year financial statements, then we need to perform procedure as per ISRE 2410. ISRE 2410. And in past 2-3 times, examiner have asked write down procedures to verify interim financial statements. Interim mean half year financial statements. How to verify interim financial statements? Procedures. Compare half year financial statements mean interim accounts with the prior 6 months equivalent records. Mean if these are from January to June, so previous year January to June, if there is any seasonal fluctuation. Compare with the budget's forecast of the company and compare with the last audited financial statements to investigate any unexpected fluctuation. To investigate any unexpected fluctuations. Compare accounting policies for consistency, those adopted in annual audited financial statements with past records. Or ensure consistency of accounting policies applied by comparing with past records. Compare key ratios with those in prior year with the interim results and with the industry ratio and investigate the differences. Compare turnover analysis, don't need to write down. Any unusual, unexpected fluctuation must be discussed with those charged with the governance. And further, we can write down assess the reasonableness of accounting estimate judgment made by discussion with company management. So these are 5-6 procedures we must be able to write down. Straightforward examiner could ask. Procedures to verify interim financial statements. One, we can add obtain written presentation from the management regarding reasonable estimate used. And this is what non-audit engagement, and whenever we are expressing opinion on non-audit engagement, the opinion will be negative. Nothing has come to our attention that causes us to believe interim accounts do not give true and fair view. There is one more topic left. Big data analytics and auditing. 4 or 5 years back, ECC issued an article relating to big data analytics, and this topic was not tested yet. So they could test for 5 to 10 marks as a part. Big data analytics. What is big data analytics? Data analytics are techniques, statistical techniques that can be applied on big data to find any pattern or any of the ratios from the data. And how auditor use this data analytics. Nowadays, companies are holding data about themselves, about their operations, about their past accounting records, about their customers, about their suppliers, about their employees. And auditor could perform some analytics on the big data. By applying big data analytics on the client big data, what auditor can identify, he can find different patterns of the business. He can find different ratios analysis he can perform, and he can identify what inventory cost and NRV current as compared to previous. Even he can ensure consistency of accounting policies applied in past as well as current, especially depreciation rate and method used on different types of asset. How auditor will perform this analytic by using audit software, because big data is in the computer system. So by using audit software, auditor can perform analytical techniques on this data to identify pattern, to calculate ratios, to identify change in cost and RV of inventory, to ensure consistency of accounting policies applied. I included that article. Oh, I forgot to include that article. That article you need to read. It's available on ACCA. Big data analytics in auditing. The rest we have covered everything. We need to cover two more good questions. Then we can wind up everything. So one more good question. We are having this OSIR question. Yes. So there are 5 areas of our syllabus. Audit report, risk, planning and risk, including group audit, ethical and other professional issues, other assignments like PFI, forensic, review, due diligence, business risk, and matter to be considered with procedures or evidence. And student mainly struggle where matter to be considered with procedure evidence. Let's discuss this question also. There are two different requirements of the question. Question was different. Because in this question, there was one topic that I want to discuss. Performance audit and audit of performance information. Let's see. So also requirement A of the question for 7 marks as well as 9 marks. Mean for cost of inventory, there are 7 marks, and for impairment, there are 9 marks. Mean there are two different issues. Using the information in Exhibit 1, comment on the matters to be considered and explain the audit evidence you would expect to find during your review of the audit working paper on 1st July 2025 in relation to the issues identified. So we need to discuss matter to be considered, matters, materiality, accounting standard application, and risk of material misstatement if company treatment is explained in the question and that is wrong. If company treatment is not explained in the question, we don't need to discuss risk of DMC. And we need to write down the evidence, not procedure. Evidence means outcome of procedure that you are having in your working paper. After performing procedure, what you are having in your working paper, that you need to write down, mean name of documents. After performing procedure, what you are having in your working paper. The document that you inspected, its copy. If you perform any procedure like a discussion with management, notes of discussion with management. If in procedure you recalculated any of the amount, notes of recalculation of the amount. Review board minutes, no. Board minutes copy to verify this. The name of document that you are having in the working paper after performing the procedure. We don't need to write down the action. We need to write down the records of action. So relating to cost of inventory for 7 marks and impairment for 9 marks. It is the 1st July 2025. You are the manager responsible for the audit of Ossier Company, a jewelry manufacturer and retailer. The final audit for the year ended 31st March 2025 is nearing completion, and you are reviewing the audit working papers. The draft financial statements recognize the total assets of 1919 million, while previous year it was 1889 million. There is increase in total asset. Revenue of 1052 million, while previous year it was 997 million, increase. And profit before tax 107 million, while previous it was 110 million, decrease. The following exhibit available below provide information relevant to the question. Audit completion review. Detail of matters which have been brought to your attention by the audit supervisor. Provide an update on the impairment following discussion with the management team. This information should be used to answer the questions requirement within the response provided. Exhibit 1. Audit completion review. Cost of inventory. Inventory cost include all purchase cost and the cost of conversion of raw material into finished goods. Cost of conversion, labor plus overheads. Conversion cost include direct labor cost and an allocation of production overheads. Direct labor costs are calculated based on the average production time per unit of inventory. Average production time per unit of inventory, which is estimated by the production manager, multiplied by the estimated labor cost per hour. So average time per unit estimated multiplied by the labor cost per hour estimated, which is calculated using the forecast annual wages of production staff divided by the annual schedule hours of production. So you have included labor cost, but based on the estimated results rather than actual. If you have used average time that is estimated, okay, we can use average time, but labor rate must be used actual rather than estimated, because the labor rate could be changing due to inflation as well. So if you are using both estimated, this could under or overstate the inventory value. Is that? Production overheads are all fixed and are allocated based upon the forecast annual units of production. Why not actual? Overheads are also allocated to the cost, but based on the forecasted annual unit rather than the actual. Forecasted would be different than the actual, because company do not produce goods on same scale. The scale could be changing according to the demand. At the year end, inventory was valued at 21 million, while previous it was 20 million. If we check first materiality 21 against total assets of 1919, it's a material. Is that? It is a material. Yes, more than 1%. Twenty-one against 1919. This is 1.09, 1.1%. 1.1%.
1.6%.
21 against 1919 million is 1.1%. No. 21 current year inventory compare with current year total assets 1919. So this is 1.1% enhanced material. Price to inventory should be recorded lower of cost and NRV. And here company is recording on cost basis. Cost should include purchase cost as well as cost of conversion. Cost of conversion include labor as well as overheads. But a company charging labor based on the estimated time per unit multiplied by estimated rate. No, you should use either rate or time. Actual, one of these two must be used. Actual, both on estimated is not appropriate, because especially rate could be changing due to inflation. And if you are using estimated, this is not incorporated with the current inflation. And then overheads, you have used the forecasted production overheads, while they must be used actual rather than forecasted. So chances that inventory could be over or understated. What could be the evidence regarding this? Evidence, not procedure. Regarding a purchase cost, purchase invoice copy to verify cost of a purchase material. And then regarding labor, timesheet to verify actual hours worked, payroll record copy to verify the rate per unit. For production overheads, bills, copy of bills used in a production overheads, as well as any invoices against which overhead have been paid. Cash book bank statement copy to verify amount paid to the labor as well as against production overheads. Inventory records copy to verify component of the conversion cost as well as cost of purchase. In what could be the documents in your working paper relating to this? During audit, might be we have performed discussion with the management why you are using this both estimated in labor. So notes of discussion with the management regarding using average time of labor as well as average rate of labor forecasted rather than actual to see if reasonable. It might be they convince us, no, we can use this like this, there is no fluctuation, to see if reasonable. Notes of discussion with management. Is that impairment? Is there any standard on impairment? IES 36. When impairment is required? When asset carrying value is higher than recoverable amount. Recoverable amount means higher of fair value less cost to sell and value in use. Value in use means present value of future benefits. Present value future benefits. Whichever is higher, that will be recovered amount. And if recovered amount is lower than carrying value, there is impairment required. Okay. At the year end, management performed an impairment review on its retail outlets. And if a company is having more than one assets, every asset will be having separate impairment review. Intangible separate impairment review, tangible separate impairment review. So at the year end, management performed an impairment review on its retail outlets, which are a cash generating unit for the purpose of conducting an impairment review. For any cash generating unit, CGU, we can perform impairment review combinedly on pro rata basis. While internet sales grew rapidly during the year, sales from retail outlets declined, prompting the review. At 31st March 2025, the carrying amount of the assets directly attributable to the retail outlets totaled 137 million, and this includes both tangible assets and goodwill. So while performing impairment review, company need to perform impairment reviews separate on goodwill and separate on other intangible assets. So 137 million, if we check against total assets, is that percent enhanced material. During the year, management received a number of offers from parties interested in purchasing the retail outlets for an average of 125 million. So carrying value of the asset is 135. Fair value is what? 125. Fair value at which you can sell the asset. This is 137 and this is given 125. Okay. They also estimated the disposal cost to be 1.5. So minus 1.5 total is 123.5. Okay. Based upon their experience of corporate acquisition and disposal, management estimated the value in use to be 128 million. They have estimated this 128 million. This means recovered amount is what? 128. If we compare, 9 impairment is required. Let's see. This was based on the historic cash flow attributable to retail outlets inflated at a general rate of 1% per annum. In the calculated value in use based on the historic cash flow attributable to retail outlets inflated at a general rate of 1%. Whether they should use historic cash flow or future estimated cash flow. Future benefits, they should calculate on future cash flows rather than historic. If they have calculated value in use based on historic reserves, so amount could be different. Consequently, the retail outlets were impaired by 9 million to restate them to their estimated recoverable amount of 128 million. The impairment was allocated against the tangible asset of the outlet on a pro rata basis, so that is fine because that was cash generating unit. Based upon the original carrying amount of each unit in the, each asset in the unit. So what's the issue? The issue is value in use should be based on future benefits, future cash flows rather than historic. So 9 is also material as compared to profit. Asset carrying value 137 is also material as compared to total assets. Is that? So they have charged correct according to their valuation, but there is a question on the value in use calculation. It should be based on future cash flows rather than historic. So asset value could be manipulated. What could be the evidence regarding this matter? What could be the evidence regarding this matter? First, we should make sure the value 137 million from where. So as a register copy to verify the carrying value of assets as 137. From where we got that fair value is 125. Correspondence with the buyers to verify fair value 125. And then value in use. Copy of documents relating to calculation of a value in use to ensure reasonable assumptions used. Notes of discussion with the management. Why value in use is based on historical cash flows rather than future cash flows to see if reasonable. Is there that management level decision? So board minutes copy to verify how management considering the account balance and accounting for it to see if reasonable. Is that? Exhibit 2, update following discussion with the management team. As a result of your review, you have concluded that the retail outlets are overvalued by further 9 million due to the assumption used in management assessment of value in use being too optimistic. The audit engagement partner has discussed the misstatement with the management team who have refused to make the necessary adjustment to the financial statement. This means assets are overstated by 9 million. If we compare this 9 million with the total assets, this is immaterial, but comparing with company profit, it is material. So there is material misstatement. Is that? With reference to Exhibit 2 and assuming that no further adjustment will be made to the financial statements, discuss the effect of the uncorrected misstatement which have on audit opinion and audit report. So what will be the effect on audit report and audit opinion? So 9 million is that percent of a profit and hence a material. So audit opinion should be qualified. Audit opinion should be qualified with except for. And the reason behind qualifying the audit opinion must be explained in basis for opinion paragraph. Basis for opinion paragraph. Though this matter relating to impairment is a key audit matter as well. But as we are explaining the reason behind qualification in key or basis for opinion paragraph, it should not be repeated under key audit matter. If auditor express unqualified opinion, then auditor can discuss this matter relating to verification of impairment in key audit matter. But as auditor is going to express qualified opinion, then the reason must be explained in basis for opinion rather than key audit. Are you with me? Will you break or take break? After break, we will discuss one more good question. And then we will wind up what questions we have covered so far and 3-4 more questions that we need to.
All to get the environment, the base environment to play the principle maximum and expected value criteria that are sometimes used in the third and time and already. You will be looking at some mark that you will also or maybe you will just have how much you to value about this. There are three things, right? Maximum, and minimum. You need to write within 5 different that is actually important. That is in right? So here you can see I have voted, first of all, maximum. So that we choose this part of the highest of the and then we do all this thing, right? Second is maximum is a only word in the first case all of the work is that second is appealing third one is evening. We got we did have data all kinds of right? You made them by the problem. In this option, we want to be better. Evening. This is new, right? That's what you can learn the example and we can continue to find one into the and there is no because I take example of the activity and need acceptable, right? But make sure to write 5 different and so this was the easy problem and we have to leave on. If you have a proper table, so you can take possible of the different procedure. Take possible of and you must have directly. There are 3 different types of rent, right? There are 3 different types of rent and 2 different types of rent. See, right? For a small, medium, and large, right? And then there's the demand in either 120, 150, 190, right? And because there is probably the answer given with the higher one is 0.6, 190 is 0.6, 120 must be 0.4. Okay. So we are required to prepare the P of the using your computation from any about because which time are and compared to y, taking into consideration the possible risk and if you are so the behavior and we have to have a topic mark. If you do the mark part, please right to be and first, we read the data in the report. After considering changing some of the values using some for say the new value coming is always large. And we not sure about which size divide. And it is in the same of 150 columns. 200 columns. not part of the belief that technical device it's only the probability of the higher technology. You know, you want to permanently for one. 85 is the believing on all the elements of the number of units. All these things the capacity high, go to have to believe that you will not right. And yet the activity is something that the art of the then and then the case for you usually are not we can also proceed to another one law. Usually say individual benefits of then we have to do this. It is the non-calculated expecting of the company. Everything that I do.
This was your question. The original question, there was one more part. We try to cover from here. Your firm is required to conduct an audit of the performance information of another client. Audit of performance information. Moosewood Hospital, and you are required to provide assurance with regard to both the accuracy and completeness of 3 key performance measures, which are used to monitor the hospital efficiency and effectiveness. There is a hospital who have showed his performance metrics targets that hospital normally meet. So you need to provide assurance on this performance information. The performance measures, all of which the hospital claims to have met, are to maintain an average patient to nurse ratio of no more than 6:1, mean one nurse is handling 6 patients. Because if one nurse is handling more than 6, that service might not be effective because that will be too much workload. And to achieve a minimum 75% of annual usage of the surgical room, when they are using surgical room effectively, how much? 75%. To ensure that the rate of admissions within 28 days for previously treated conditions does not exceed 3%. Mean if one patient has visited the hospital there are only 3% patient who visit again within 28 days. Remaining 97% patients are satisfied, are treated properly. They do not visit within a month again. Showing performance. Like if once we are treating the patient, we fully treat the patient. No patient is coming again within a month. There are only 3% patients who are coming again within 28 days, not more than this. I mean, 97% patient, if once they visit the hospital, they will be treated properly. They are not coming again within the month. So these are what 3 performance information about the hospital they have stated on their website, on their annual reports or whatever. And we being auditor need to verify this, whether company have met these targets or not. Requirement C of the question, B of the question. Explain the difference between performance audit and an audit of performance information. Performance audit and audit of performance information. Performance audit, you need to check the performance of the company. And this is internal management function, not the auditor. Who normally perform performance audit? Internal auditor. Internal auditor or company management. They need to check performance of one individual, performance of any department, so that they can take action against that. This is not external audit work. Performance audit. Performance audit is what? Internal function of the company management, and who is responsible for this? Company management, or it is responsibility of internal auditor. He need to measure performance of any individual, any department, so that a company can reward accordingly. Audit of performance information is external audit requirement where company have stated or published their performance information, and we need to give opinion or assurance on that performance information. In performance audit, there is no assurance required. But audit of performance information, ultimately, we need to verify whether this performance that company have disclosed is met or not, and we need to provide an assurance on that. Can you differentiate between performance audit and audit of performance information? And requirement C, for 6 marks, using the information provided in Exhibit 2, design the examination procedures which should be used in auditing the performance information of Moosewood Hospital. I mean, these 3 targets, how you will verify there is a 6:1 nurse patient ratio, how you will verify that surgery room is used by 75%, how you will verify that patients only 3% coming again within 28 days, not more than this. You need to write down procedures. How we can verify there is a 6:1 nurse patient ratio? Comparing nurse records, payroll records, nurse payroll records with the patient admission record. So comparing nurse payroll record or nurse duty record with patient admission record to verify 6:1 ratio of a nurse to patient. Mean how many admissions are there from the you can say patient admission, and how many nurse on duty per day. From duty chart we can identify how many nurse, how many patients, so we can verify 6:1 or not. Or what we can do, visit the ward and observe there is one nurse available for 6 number of patient. You will count how many patients in one ward and how many nurses are over there. If there are 20 patients and there are 3 nurses, this means 6:1 ratio is not met. If there are 20 patients as well as 4 nurses available, this means this is going to match 6:1. Is that? What else? We can inquire from the patients while visiting the ward who is attending which patient. You can ask from the patient who is attending you, which nurse is attending you, which nurse is attending you. If more than 6 saying that nurse attending us, this means there is one nurse for more than 6 patient. If 5 to 6 patients saying that nurse attending us and the 7th patient saying the other nurse, this means 6:1 ratio is met. More detailed procedures. How we can verify the surgery room is used for 75%? We can inspect the records of surgery room usage to verify number of hours surgery room is opened. What else? We can inquire from the surgeons how many surgeries they perform in a day and how much time each surgery take place. If one surgery they are performing in 2 hours and they are using they are performing in 9 surgeries in a day, this means 9 multiplied by 2, 18 hours surgery room is used. 18 hours mean they are using 75% out of 24. Is that? So surgery room record we can inspect to verify for how many times surgery room is used or for how many hours surgery room is used, and we can inquire from the surgeon how many surgery they perform in a day and the time one surgery take place. What else? What else? We can visit the surgery room and observe for how many hours that room is used in a day according to number of surgeries. We can observe by visiting there. How we can verify? Only 3% patient coming again within 28 days. We can compare a person admission of current with the past person admission to identify similar patients visiting again, through which we can calculate a percentage as well. We can inquire from the patients sitting in waiting areas to get information when they last time visited the hospital. Is that? What else? What else? We can discuss with the staff, admission staff, regarding the occasion of patient visiting again and again after one visit. To identify only 3%, up to 3% patient visiting again after 28 days. Mainly through records, we can compare the name to see when they last time visited. And if the last time visited coming again, and this is more than 3%, this means company is not meeting the target. This was difficult requirement. 6 plus 3, 9 marks. Performance audit, audit of performance information, and then procedures to verify this performance information. Let's move towards one more question. One six. Having one question for Francis. Part A, Part B. Part A for 12 marks, Part B for 8 marks, and requirement for both parts. Comment on the matters to be considered. Materiality, accounting standard, and if company treatment is given, risk on TM statement as well. And explain the audit evidence. You should expect to find during your review of the audit working papers in respect of each of the issues described above. In similar like Gaussier question, we need to comment on the matter and then audit evidence that must be available in working papers. And part A separate for 12 marks, part B separate for 8 marks. So you are a manager in audit department of Willows and Company, and you are reviewing the audit working papers in relation to the Francis Group, the group whose financial year ended on 31st July 20x4. 31st July 20x4. It's a group company. Your firm audit all components of the group, which consist of a parent company and 3 subsidiaries, Marks Company, Roberts Company, and Teapot Company. The group manufactures engines, which are then supplied to the car industry. The draft consolidated financial statements recognize profit for the year to 31st July 20x4 of $23 million, while previous year it was $33 million, reduced. And total assets of $450 million, while previous year these were $455, slightly reduced. Information in respect of 2 issues have been highlighted for your attention during the file review. An 80% equity shareholding in Teapot Company was acquired on 1st August 20x3. Year end is 31st July 20x4. 7 plus 4, 11 months. No, July 1st August, so start of the year. They acquired 80% of Teapot Company. Goodwill on the acquisition of 27 million was calculated at the date and remain recognized as an intangible asset at the value at the year end. The goodwill calculation performed by the group's management is shown below. Purchase consideration was 75,000. Fair value of 20% non-controlling interest is 13,000. And the fair value of net assets acquired was 61,000. So total goodwill is 27,000 that is appearing in financial statement. If first we just check materiality of 27 million against total asset and hence material. If the goodwill that was initially calculated at the start of the year 27 million and at year end, it is also appearing 27 million in financial statement. This means no impairment review of goodwill has been performed per IAS 36. Is that? And there is indication of impairment. How? Company profit has reduced as compared to previous year. Even total assets have reduced as compared to previous year. So there is an indication of impairment review. And if impairment review was not performed on goodwill, chances that asset profit could be overstated. Is that? In determining the fair value of identifiable net assets at acquisition. So fair value of net assets acquired must be measured as per IFRS 3. If they are not measured as per IFRS 3, goodwill could be manipulated as well. So they are saying in determining the fair value of identifiable net assets at acquisition, an upward fair value adjustment of 300,000 was made to the book value of a property recognized in Teapot Company's financial statements at a carrying value of 600,000. While measuring fair value of net assets, the upward one of the property from 600,000 to 900,000 means 300,000 more upward. more upward. They measure one of the property value 300,000 more while calculating fair value of net assets required. Can we discuss anything about it? Why the property value was upward by 300,000? Property value upward by 300,000 while measuring fair value. So the reason behind upward of value must be ascertained, whether there was increase in the value of property in the market, like there was a boost in property market, that's why property value was upward, then it is fairly justifiable. Otherwise, fair value of net assets acquired could also be overstated by 300,000, and 300,000 while comparing with the company profit of 23 million is immaterial. Then there are 12 marks. There is one more issue. A loan of 60 million was taken out on 1st August 2023 to help finance the acquisition. The loan carries an annual interest rate of 6% with interest payments made annually in arrears. And the loan will be repaid in 20 years at a premium of 5 million. So per IFRS 9, premium on loan must be amortized over the loan period, i.e. 20 years. And if it is not amortized, loan could be, financial statements could be manipulated. And initially the loan should be measured at a fair value, but the interest 6%. Can we calculate 6% interest as well? 60 million multiplied by 6% is how much? 3.6. Should be accrued for in the current year. And this 3.6 interest is a dash % of profit and hence material. And if it is not accrued for, chances that liabilities expenses could be understated and profit overstated. There were 3 issues. One impairment IAS 36, one fair value for net assets required per IFRS 3, and one loan premium interest accrued for per IFRS 9. Now we can discuss some evidence that must be there in working papers. Purchase contract copy to verify consideration paid for the subsidiary required. Not inspection. Purchase contract copy. In document should be in working paper. What else? Due diligence report relating to fair value of net assets required of the subsidiary. Copy of due diligence report relating to fair value of net assets required. Impairment review copy if performed by management to see why impairment is not required. Notes of discussion with management regarding the impairment review performed and no impairment required to see if reasonable. Is that? What else? Relating to this loan. How we can verify this interest is accrued for? First, we can see the loan agreement copy to verify the amount, interest rate, and time period. And then financial statement extracts. Financial statements extracts to verify 3.6 million interest accrued for. Is that management level decision as well? Both. Board minutes copy to verify how management considering the event and accounting for it, so see if reasonable. Be careful. Don't write procedure here. After procedure, what you are having in your working paper, that is evidence. Part B of the question. In September 2024, year end was 31st July 2024. So in September 2024, after year end, a natural disaster caused several damage to the property complex housing for the group's head office and main manufacturing site. When this disaster happened? After year end. For IAS 10, it is post balance sheet non-adjusting event and being significant, requiring disclosure in the financial statements. For health and safety reasons, a decision was made to demolish the property complex. The demolition took place 3 weeks after the damage was caused. The property had a carrying value of 16 million at 31st July 2024. A contingent asset of 18 million has been recognized as a current asset. This is a big crime. There is no accounting entry of contingent asset, contingent liability per IAS 37. They only need to be disclosed rather than accounted for. And these rascals have recorded contingent asset as current asset. Cannot account for contingent asset, contingent liability. And deferred income in the group statement of financial position at 31st July. I mean, how they pass the accounting entry, contingent asset debit, deferred income credit with 18 million. Why? Representing the amounts claimed under the group insurance policy in respect of the disaster, because they want to claim this amount from insurance. If your loss is a 16 million property total loss, even might be the complete building is not damaged. This is your decision. You are going to demolish. Even you want to claim the complete loss, it must be 16 million rather than 18 million. Is that? And secondly, contingent asset cannot be accounted for. It must be disclosed per IAS 37. If company have accounted for contingent asset against deferred income, chances that assets liabilities could be overstated. Deferred income you can recognize when you receive the money relating to future revenue. Here you haven't received the money, so you cannot record as a deferred income even. If you're gonna receive this in future from insurance company, you can only disclose contingent asset. You cannot record this as a income for IAS 37. So what could be the evidence relating to this? How we can verify the disaster has damaged the property? Physically inspect the area of the property to identify damage has been caused by disaster. Notes of discussion with the management regarding the demolition of the building and recovery of the amount from insurance company, likelihood of recovery from insurance company. Correspondence with insurance company to verify chances of claim made against insurance company. Board minutes copy to verify how management considering the event and accounting for it. Financial statements extracts, notes to the financial statements extract to verify disclosure of contingent asset and elimination of contingent asset as a current asset. Notes to the financial statements to verify completeness of disclosure as per IAS 10 non-adjusting event. During audit, we have inspected. Now notes to the financial statements copy, evidence. And that's it. Now, if we try to sum up, there are 5 areas: audit report. We have covered question MAR, Snipe, Darren, Boston, and one more question we covered. That was you. 5 questions are enough for audit report practice. Regarding risk, we covered question papaya, Bluebell, Parker, Bill, and relating to group audit, we covered Grissom, Stowe. What else? One more question we covered regarding group audit. That was the most difficult question. Magpie. And one relating to business risk, we covered question Jolly. Relating to ethical and other professional issues, we covered question covered. We covered one question Monat. We covered one question Bunk, Retriever, Neat and Company, Plant, Ravan, Nissan and Co, Macau, including matter plus procedure evidence. What else? Lark, Sepia. And we covered some questions from notes as well. And then relating to other engagements, non-audit engagements, we covered one question jet spray from notes on due diligence. On due diligence, we covered question Mason, Jacob. On PFI, we covered apricot. We covered lapwing. We have covered butler. And on forensic, we have covered retriever part B, and we have covered crocus. And we have covered some question Ossier. the Francis. So 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32 questions we have covered so far during the semester. If we cover these 32 questions properly, hopefully 70%, minimum 70%, could be 100%, 70% of our paper will be similar like these scenario, these case studies, these requirement. 30%, the way of asking question could be different. The story scenario could be different, but the concept will same. Along with these questions, you need to cover some questions from the kit. I will share with that practice questions as well. One question you need to cover Connolly. Francis we have covered. Magpie Satyr we have covered. Satyr from June 13 paper. Grohl. Connolly. And 1-2 question I will share more. L'Oreal, I think so. L'Oreal, something like that question. So these 4 questions you need to cover by yourself. I will share with the practice questions on Teams. And after covering these 35, 36 questions, if we are moving towards attempting paper, hopefully we can tackle paper easily. So still we are having about, you can say 2 weeks left before exam. If we divide these questions into these 2 weeks, probably 2 to 3 questions we need to cover every day. That is easily possible. Mean if we try to revise this question once again, so 2 to 3 questions we can cover every day, and by having a revision of these questions, we can tackle the paper easily. So that's it for this paper. Wish you best of luck for your exam. I'm available till exam night on calls, on WhatsApp, on emails, everywhere. Ragi, are you going to attempt this paper in March?
No, sir. I'm not attending this paper.
Hello?
Sir, hello? Hello, sir?
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me, sir?
Mr. Mukhendra, are you going to attempt this paper in March or just studying?
Yes, sir. I'm
I
going to
can't hear
attempt.
you guys.
I'm going to attempt, sir. Are you hearing? Hello? Hello, sir?
Let me stop this. Yeah, now can you speak so that I can hear you?
Hello, sir.
I can't
This-
hear you.
Hello, sir.
The speaker is working.
Hello, sir.
Okay, best of luck then.
Hello, sir.
They will